Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. This edition is sponsored in part by UCare, the Minnesota Twins, and BMAnetworks.com. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. On this episode of Urban Perspectives, we introduce you to young creatives in figure skating, leadership development, and events marketing. Meet this now generation of professionals right here on Urban Perspectives. My first guest has 20 years of competitive figure skating experience. She is the founder, choreographer, performer, and producer of Brown Body, a dance, skating, and fusion repertory company that produces work for both ice and stage. Her mission is to raise socio-cultural and historical awareness through her art. Welcome her now to Urban Perspectives, Deneane Richburg. Deneane, how you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm so glad you had an opportunity to make it here with us to talk about this important piece that you're doing, which is so beautiful. We had a chance to see it in 2013, so we're so glad that you're bringing it back again this year so that we can see it. So let's start by explaining to us, the audience, what is the concept of the Brown Body Repertory Company?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Brown Body, as you mentioned, we are a modern dance, figure skating, theater, music, and multiple other artistic genre performing arts repertory company. So we merge all of those different artistic genres to tell stories that are relevant to communities of color. Of course, I have to start where I stand. As an African American woman, I have to start with the stories and the issues that are relevant to diasporic communities. So, and we, as you mentioned, we do present work both on and off the ice.
So you've been skating for a while, and that's such a beautiful art form. Now, why is the approach to skating important, and this approach that you're doing, why is it important to the skating industry?
Yeah, definitely. Because we are bringing in issues and stories that are relevant to communities that generally haven't had a long track record or history in the sport, we're really expanding the boundaries of skating. So not only, of course, doing different things on the ice, but also touching on topics and touching on subject matter that traditionally hasn't really been focused and been brought into kind of a center or central space.
So beautiful. Now, what drew you to a career in competitive skating, Deneane?
Yeah, well, you know, so it's kind of funny. When I was younger, you know, my parents had me try out all sorts of different activities and sports. They had me in t-ball. I guess I was more interested in dandelions than actually, you know, catching the ball. So, but figure skating, they had me, they gave me the opportunity to try skating, and it just stuck. So 20 some years later, I was competitive for almost 20 years, but a knee injury ended my competitive career, but I went on to really focus in on contemporary African American theater, and then going on to pursue my MFA in dancing choreography.
That's fantastic. Now, how are you trying to influence that perception and participation of African Americans in figure skating, which is so important?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I really, as mentioned, I really want to expand the boundaries of skating. I really want the ice to be a viable medium for cultural expression. There's absolutely no reason, in my opinion, why our stories, our histories, our ancestral legacies can't be brought to the ice. There are some amazing African American figure skaters out there that, you know, fortunately, unfortunately, haven't really had the opportunity to tell their story on the ice. I remember growing up skating, I really felt like in competitive circles and within training centers and so forth, I felt like I always had to kind of check my racial identity at the door before I even gained entrance into the space. And I've heard very similar stories from other skaters of color that have also felt like they could not bring their full selves to this sport that they're devoting literally blood, sweat, and tears, hours and hours and hours, and a lot of financial sacrifices too. So it's a shame that you know, many people have felt like they couldn't really fully be themselves.
Well, people like you and others keep knocking that door.
Oh yeah.
And that door is kind of open.
Oh yeah.
And James Brown said, "No, I'm not asking for you to give me anything. Just open up
Exactly. Exactly.
You know, what can we expect from Brown Body in the future? I know you have something coming up here this year. What can we expect from you moving forward?
Well, moving forward, as you mentioned, we do have an upcoming production called Quiet as It's Kept at Victory Memorial Ice Arena.
Yeah.
Check out our website, brownbody.org, for more information. But moving forward, more importantly, we are again trying to create a sustainable organizational structure to support a season or a series of performances on a continual basis. One of the things that's really deterred us from being able to do that is, of course, fundraising.
Exactly.
But we are putting the structure in place to be able to support the work.
Well,
So
we have your back here. This is such an important piece for not only our young people in our community, but our overall community. Such a beautiful thing that you're doing. We'll be there checking out Brown Body. And thank you so much, Deneane, for being here on this edition.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, we present Shining Stars, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the vibrancy of the urban community. Our Shining Star this week is an up-and-coming actress who recently appeared in Tyler Perry's hit series, The Haves and Have-Nots. She has a bachelor's degree in fine arts from the University of Minnesota Duluth. She is also a social worker whose early life struggles have strengthened her resolve to help others overcome theirs. Meet our Shining Star, Patrice Overton.
My name is Patrice Overton, and I am an actress. Currently, I am working on The Have and Have-Nots, which is a drama series that's on OWN. I was just always a colorful girl. I've always been interesting. I tell people my story sometimes, and I feel like it's a story somebody told me. I don't feel like it's realistic at all, just because of so many different things that have happened to me in my life. And so acting was a way that I could allow for those emotions to come out and be a realistic experience for someone. So if I had to cry, I knew how to do that very easily because I had been in many situations where I've had to cry. So it's pretty easy to recreate those moments, at least, to bring about that emotion. If you think about something and it scares you, you're on the right track. I don't know why I came up with the name Tyler Perry, but it was just so beyond my wild. I was like, well, if I'm gonna start late, I better start getting at the top somewhere, you know. So I just said, you know, Tyler Perry is what's happening right now. I mean, he knows Oprah, maybe I can call in a favor. I don't know. I think that's a good fit. I think that's a good name to start with. I had so many people helping me when I was going through my issues, and had it really not been for a lot of those social workers in my life, I don't know where I would be. So want to make sure that I try and propel that forward and give that same love and care and passion and listening ear that I know some of these people need. I've worked with addicts, I've worked with homeless, I've worked with low risk or low income at-risk youth. I mean, you name it. I've worked with kids in child protection, whether I work with adults with disabilities or young kids who have fetal alcohol syndrome. I'm Patrice Overton, an actress from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and you're watching Urban Perspectives.
Thank you, Patrice. Stay tuned as we talk to a leadership guru who is currently a doctoral candidate in comparative and international development education at the University of Minnesota. Meet him next, Abdul Omari on Urban Perspectives. Welcome back to Urban Perspectives. Our next guest is the founder of AMO Enterprises Leadership Development Company and the creator of the U Leadership Seminars. He is one of the youngest elected members of the U of M Board of Regents. He is also a board member for the Minnesota Red Cross, Achieve Minneapolis, and Civic Eagles. I introduce to you Abdul Omari. How you doing, man?
Great. Good morning.
We have been watching your progress in this marketplace, as many others have been doing, and you are doing a fantastic job, man. I really appreciate you coming on board here and giving us a little bit of this so the audience can see what great things are happening.
I appreciate you having me. This is a wonderful opportunity, and just looking up to my mentors and folks that I'm seeing, so I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for that. What is AMO, Abdul Omari, what is AMO Enterprises, and why did you get it started?
Yeah, I suppose AMO Enterprises started at a young age, really, but then kind of developed after teaching 3 years at the University of Minnesota leadership course, and really identifying some opportunity to develop leadership training seminars to help people better connect in leadership environments and interacting in groups and teams. That really takes the opportunity for us to look at our experiences and dig deep into our lives and where we come from, and then understanding and connecting dots to how that plays out in our leadership and the ways in which we view the world.
Yeah, creating leaders there. As a member of the U of M Board of Regents, Omari, what does a regent do? And what are your goals to bring fresh insight to them?
Well, you know, I should start by saying that we are elected to 6-year terms by the state legislature. And about 2 years ago, I became the 7th African-American regent to serve on the board. And, you know, our job is really to ensure the health of the University of Minnesota. I think from a strategic standpoint, forward-looking. We do not manage the day-to-day. That's the job of the president and the administration. But it's really holding the president accountable, making sure that we have a strategic vision and framework for the future of the health of the university and its impact on the state. And from my perspective, thinking about being one of the younger members on the board by about 15 years, having been in multiple levels of degrees at the University of Minnesota, undergrad, master's, and then into a PhD, teaching a class, and having those multiple perspectives of the university and a direct connection to how governance plays out on the ground, and tying some of those knots. I also am very interested in always trying to bring an inclusive framework and an inclusive eye to the board, and understanding how what we're doing cannot be excellent without diversity in all of its forms and capacities.
Great work, great work. Now, as a PhD candidate who I understand just submitted your dissertation recently here, what is your doctoral direction and how are you using it in your community?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. You know, I did just submit a full draft of my dissertation, so as long as the next month goes well while my committee is reviewing, I'll defend it and move out into the world, if you will.
Oh, we're going to put it out there.
But you know, my program is in comparative and international development education, and I've really focused on how to look at international education systems and draw some of those connections to the system here at in Minnesota and the United States. And my work focuses in mentoring and the perceptions of mentoring for different populations.
Since you have done research in those areas in that field of mentoring of young men, what is the difference, and is there a difference in mentorship approach for successful outcomes?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one of the things about mentoring, the field, the scholarly field is very young. And so what has happened is folks, rightfully so, have developed the kind of most impactful for the most amount of people approaches to mentoring. And so what I've been trying to do is unpack some of those very nuanced differences in needs and desires from mentees, and really trying to approach mentoring from a mentee-centered basis, where we really look and empower mentees to say, here's what I need. And whether or not a mentor can provide that, and trying to push mentoring programs to dig a little bit deeper into what that looks like and what mentees desire and need. And my study looks at African American males and first, second, third generation West African males in Minnesota.
Well, your legacy is yet to be laid, but I'm sure you have one thing that you want to leave as an impact on what you're doing. What would that one thing be in the few seconds we have?
Wow, I would say
thinking fast.
Yeah, knowing that I left a mark on the world and worked the best that I could and made the decisions that I thought were right for the time, even if those disagreed.
Wow, real good, real good. Hey, Omari, Abdul Omari, thank you so very much for doing what you do, and we'll be talking soon. I appreciate the work that you do, and I'm sure others do as well.
Thanks for the invite.
All right, Abdul Omari. Next, on Urban Perspectives, we talk to a trendsetter with a passion for creating and executing superstar events for the likes of Miami Heat's guard Dwayne Wade, Arizona Cardinals All-Pro Larry Fitzgerald, and many others. We'll hear how she does it on Urban Perspectives next. My next guest is the founder of JD Style Group, a full-service event production and marketing firm. The company creates and produces extraordinary projects for top names in sports and entertainment. She's a former Miss Minnesota USA who combines her talents and style to create a winning formula. Here she is now on Urban Perspective. Welcome, Jessica Dereschuk.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you've had a heck of a weekend already.
Yes.
And to be here this morning, bright and early and looking fantastic, we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
What inspired you, Jessica, to create the JD Styles Group, and what is its mission?
Well, my parents own their own business, so I sort of grew up in an entrepreneurial environment, and I think having that environment really inspired me to want to be able to have the creative freedom to, you know, not only think outside the box, but have no box, and be able to really take my vision for my clients and myself and make it my own. And the mission is really to be able to serve our clients not only for their event needs, but we've done branding campaigns for them and endorsement deals, and so we're sort of a connector of dots. And so we go beyond event production, and the goal is to continue that and build upon that and you know, just expand.
A lot of work.
Yes, it is a lot of work.
And working with superstars, in a matter of fact, what approach do you use to effectively be effective in creating those successful projects that they seek?
Yeah. You know, I think the most important thing is to not look at them as superstars. We do work, obviously, with 75% of our business is with NFL, NBA, NHL guys, but we have private clients and corporate clients, and I need to look at my superstar clients the same way as I would look at any other client. So it's to, you know, you can't see their celebrity, you need to see who they are and what their vision is, and really represent that. And so I think that would be, you know, the best thing I can say about that.
And I think that's the way they like looking at it. That comes across more genuine to them. And,
absolutely.
When you're doing it from that standpoint. Now, you've worked with Chicago Bears Brandon Marshall and the Timberwolves Rick Rubio. What kind of events have you helped these players produce, and how do you help them produce programs that connect them with the community, which I'm sure they're seeking?
Right, with Ricky, Ricky's actually helping us with an event that we do called Bowling for Soup. And so Ricky has a great passion for working with youth and fundraising for the community that he's a part of. And so our Bowling for Soup event it's a really unique event where it's founded on raising canned soup and non-perishable food items for the food group, which supports over 200 food banks in Minnesota and the Midwest. And then another unique thing we do with that event is we reach out to youth nonprofits in the Twin Cities, like Big Brothers Big Sisters, Special Olympics, Boulder Options have been there, and we invite these children to come out to the event free of charge. They get to bowl, you know, have a great time, meet their celebrity, you know, athletes that they look up to, and it's a semi-private event, so we still invite the public out to it as well. And it's a way for Ricky to, you know, Ricky, Derek Williams has participated in it, JJ Barea. It's a way for these men to connect with the youth and to show that, you know, we can fundraise and we can be a part of our communities and still have a great time doing it.
That's great. Such a great sounding program. I know you're doing it again this year, and we'll have information on there. Now, what has been your most rewarding project, Jessica, that you worked with? So let's just say in the last 6 months or so.
Oh, okay. You know, we do an event with the Minnesota Vikings called, the event is called the Warm and Fed Challenge, and we challenge high schools in the Twin Cities area to compete against each other, raising food and clothing items for the Salvation Army. And the school that raises the most items wins a pep rally with the Minnesota Vikings at their school. And that's a really fun one because we engage thousands of high school students to compete for a 5-day school week. And you know, only one school wins, and they're all aware of that, and they still so openly participate in the event, knowing only one group will win. And it's just exciting to see the youth be actively participating in making a difference. And we've consistently now for the last 2 years raised the totals I don't have it in my head at the moment, but we've raised so much for the Salvation Army, and it's a really fun thing to do and to partner with the Vikings on it.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Now, what advice would you give then to just the average person who wants to create a successful event or just a little house party?
Well, they should hire JD Style Group.
Exactly.
But if I had to give them advice, the first thing would be to write your mission down for that particular event and what your vision is. You have to have a clear vision from the start. The next thing would be to continue to plan and write everything down and think of everything from start to finish that you may need to make that a successful event. And then I always break it down by the week to stay on track leading up to it. And then the third and final tip would be to be prepared for anything to happen, because an event has moving parts, and at no time can you ever completely control it. And so to just be prepared to, roll with the punches and
keep a smile.
Yeah, exactly.
Jessica, thank you so very much for your time and being here with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching Urban Perspectives. I would like to thank my sponsors, UCare, the Minnesota Twins, and BMAnetworks.com, my guests, Deneane Richburg, Abdul Omari, and Jessica Dereschuk, our shining star, Patricia Overton, and you, the audience, for getting up with Urban Perspectives. Visit our website at urbanperspectives.tv for information on our guests and where you can find links to previous broadcasts. And you can help us grow by liking our Facebook page. Remember, there are positive things happening in our cities. See them right here on Urban Perspectives. Now enjoy the photos of the week featuring the classical hip-hop group Black Violin at the Dakota. I'm Pete Rhodes, and I'll see you next week.